Hello everybody, it's Gary, and today we're going to talk about why Gastroak is the worst Loomian in PvP, and how you could buff it. If you still PvP in Loomian Legacy, you would know now why Gastroak is the worst Loomian, but I want to go more in depth into why it is the worst Loomian. But first, let's look at Gastroak outside of PvP. Gastroak is a giant slug with a giant tree on its back. It even has its own Halloween form. It is 7'9" and 287 pounds. Keep this in mind when we transition into the first category of why Gastroak is terrible. Its stats. Gastroak probably has one of the worst stats in the game, which yes, it does have good HP and R defense, but the rest are god awful. Let's get the elephant out of the room and address its melee defense stat. It has the worst melee defense stat out of any fully evolved Loomian, not to mention the fact that it has the fourth worst melee defense of any Loomian in general, including its own line, and the thing weighs 287 pounds. How? Along with its terrible defense stat, it also has terrible offense stat, considering it's a fat slug. Gastroak is meant to be a ranged attacker, and guess what? It has 85 ranged attack. So along with its awful defense, it has no offense whatsoever. But stats aren't everything, right? Maybe its moveset will still be better for a poor slug friend. Its moveset is okay at best. Probably its best thing, which isn't saying much. Keep in mind, okay does not mean good because it still does not get moves for what it is supposed to be. Gastroak is meant to be a tank, I'm pretty sure, considering its offensive stat, but let's review its notable moves. Poison, Sap Plant, Muck Blast, Nature's Forced, Photosynthesis, and Briar Block. Its moveset is meh again, but there are so many Loomians with the same moveset that work better than Gastroak, including Odasho. Which still being meh, the moveset is definitely the best part of Gastroak. And now let's get to the worst part of Gastroak, its typing. Gastroak's typing is bad, and I mean bad. Plant is the worst typing in the game both offensively and defensively, and Gastroak is pure plant type. This means that on top of a bad defensive stat, it's weak to traps, which means even more chip damage on it. But yeah, everyone agrees plant is the worst type, and the fat Gastroak is only that type makes it have terrible typing. Plant may have a lot of resistances and even an immunity, but it's also weak to fire, dark, ice, bug, and toxic, which all of these are among some of the best typings, with dark being the best, and since it's weak to dark, that means it's weak to chase down, which means 35 melee defense stat plus weak to dark means it basically dies to chase down and you can't do anything about it. Now let's move on to something equally as bad. Gastroak's abilities do not work for it. When your best ability is Ungracious Host, you know it's awful ability wise. Ungracious Host is when the possessor is hit by a health draining move, the attacker will lose health equal to the amount it would have recovered instead. This ability will probably get better when Strength Sap like move comes, but other than that, it's not good. So if it's not good, why is it the best ability? Well, its other two are Mysterious Toxins and Slimy, which only work when a melee move hits it, and like I said before, it has terrible melee defense. So in conclusion, Gastroak is the worst Loomian in PvP. Every other Loomian has something good going for it, including stuff like Deludrix and Waka Waka. But Gastroak, man, it does not work whatsoever. There's just better things to use than it, as nothing about it works. So how can we buff it? Well, first, give it better stats. Like, why did Jamie give it awful stats? Buff its melee defense. Or if you refuse to give it different abilities that can help with its awful typing, just give it something to make it actually somewhat usable. Besides that, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys for the next one, and bye.